because that's like kids are still awake and all this other things. Still, we could try to work something out, is what I'm saying.
Chloroform.
Right? I think I'm going to have to use that right about now. Hold on. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hold on. Look. Watch. You see it in the corner?
Do you have some?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you have some handy?
I think we're good. You just curled up and passed out.
Well, I'll bleep out the word form. On that note, and loving our children.
Welcome to the Nerdentials podcast, starring your hosts, Joe Tweedy, Matthew Johnson, Nick Thomas, and Lynn Dudgeon.
Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering TV, film, video games, and comic books. I haven't missed a beat, and it has been a minute, but I'm your host, Joe Tweeden, and joining me tonight during this unsavory time of life in the world, I have two of my best cohorts. To one side of me, I've got the Nick Thomas. How's it going?
Pretty good. Well, I'm not right beside you. We're trying to practice our social distancing here.
Which I think we're pulling off quite well. I realize a lot of podcasts I listen to record in studio together, and a lot of them are now doing at-home recordings. The irony in that statement is that we've been doing this for 3 years now, so I think we're pretty well practiced.
Yeah, we were just practicing the whole time. So
Exactly. Ready for 2020 any day. Second but not last, joining us in the other corner of this crazy time is the Lynn Dudgeon.
Oh, hey-o!
I thought you were going to do something else that was going to bother me.
Oh, you were about to throw us off, sir. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
No, I realized christening the new laptop. Hey-o! Gotta give it to.
I mean, hell yeah. A lot of people should be able to tell because there is a video quality difference here. And it's a little more stable on the movement side. Granted, it is a laptop, so there's still some mobility there. But, yeah, congratulations on the new laptop, sir.
Right? Use like Corona money.
Guys,
too soon.
No,
Sorry.
well, not a matter of too soon. A matter of wow, we're in the moment still.
I don't know about yours, but mine came covered in Cheeto powder.
I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but someone near and dear to my heart within my family called it the Orange Man's money. I'll leave that up to your imagination. However, guys, don't worry. We're not going to get crazy deep into what is currently the most topical thing on the planet. We do want to talk about the things we love. We like to call it escapism, and that's what we're trying to bring back to our Nerdentials platform for you guys. A lot of things have been going on. Obviously, the world's crazy right now, but that being said, we want to bring some lighthearted, fun conversation to this channel, to this podcast. We want to talk about movies, TV, and gaming like we always have. Now,
all the things that we use to escape from reality?
Yes. Yes, Lynn.
I'm down. I'm down. Let's go.
Your observation is astute and narrow.
All right. Fair enough.
Only because I threw out the phrase escapism prior. That's anyway. No, smart cookie. Thanks for bringing it up, sir. No disrespect, but that is what we're here to do, guys. We're here to inform you and entertain, and the informational part is kind of buried under a heap of reality right now with a lot of pandemical things happening around the world. So, needless to say, COVID-19 has been ripped apart, dissected, and discussed by everyone in the universe. Me and Lynn referenced it a little bit on the heavier side when we did Gaming Talk, but it was only in relevance to how it's affecting the industry. So, if anything, we're going to skip around that for now because we want to have a little more of a lighthearted conversation this week, guys, and we hope you appreciate that. Instead of talking about how things are being affected by other things, we're going to review some things in light of the situation that we've been able to be entertained by and escape to. So, guys, let's jump into our classic topics today. Today is a variety day. It might be a movie episode because we've watched a handful of movies lately. Due to social distancing. Not from each other, because we already do that. We're well practiced at that. But as far as the rest of the world goes, we've had a lot of time to sit down and enjoy some things in the entertainment industry. So, guys, without further ado, let's jump into Movie Matters.
I feel like I'm beating you guys on social distancing. I'm in another state.
Oh, you are hardcore beating us,
Are
sir.
you competing with me?
Oh, is this gonna? Oh, did you just dab at that? Wow, sir, you are
No.
using an unsavory old-timey trend. The new kids would call it old-timey. The new kids would call it, wow, that was 2 years ago. Or longer. And I'm so old, it's probably longer.
Them if they can't take a joke.
Lynn, first bleep of the night, dude. I thought we could get a little further into it.
Technically, we could still be PG-13. There was only one F-bomb.
Oh.
Well, to be fair, I try to bleep the Fs, so it can
And
stay.
no nip slip.
What?
And no nip slip.
You're right. No nip slip. One F-bomb. No, Lynn.
Get it.
No, keep it in. Keep it in.
Get it
Stop it.
low
Don't
enough.
ruin your shirt for the sake
Low
of it.
enough.
I saw a little tat slip on your above your tit. Tat above the tit. Yeah, I saw that.
Tit for tat.
My bad. I'll let everybody see my tattoos. No. They gotta pay. They have to pay to have fun.
Thankfully, according to Nerdentials policy, of which there is none in existence since we're not officially an LLC, I will still like to dictate that we have no such consequences. You guys are in the safe zone with us. And that's only because I edit the shit. Honestly, if I left it to one of those guys, I don't know what would be left in.
Everything would be the danger zone.
Speaking of films being delayed, anyone sad about Maverick not showing up in 2020? I am. Nick's like, do I care? I roll. Anyways, welcome to Movie Matters. And yes, I probably keep a lot of that in. I'm trying to minimize my editing time because I'm overwhelmed with the COVID. Sorry, I'm not infected. I meant I'm overwhelmed. You know what? In small talk, before we jump into movies, just a quick side note that was not, I didn't include this in the intro, but if anyone's wondering why my background is seriously empty of any pop culture memorabilia, it's because I'm in the middle of a huge move. And fear not, friends, I'm not moving away from the channel or anything that we do here on YouTube. If anything, I'm moving closer to someone else temporarily and still going to be trudging forward with said content. Yes, I'm moving from the green Northwest to the sandy desert of Nevada with the Lynn Dudgeon. We'll get into those deets at a later time, but It's just a career change. It's not anything to do with the world being in a downturn spiral of death. Sorry, that was dark, and that's not even entirely true. But has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with current events. I like to put
dark would be you sold it for crack.
I didn't do any of that, so it's not that dark. I'm making a move from the place we've been, and we're gonna keep trudging forward with our channel, our pop culture nerdy talk, and all things fun. So that's kind of why we're being a little loose right now. I've been overwhelmed with this move. So I do want to apologize to all our listeners and viewers. We have not been on the weekly schedule that we promised for 2020. But come beginning of summer here, we're going to get back to it. We're going to get back to that consistency. Just give us a couple more weeks, guys. So in the meantime, let's talk movies, gentlemen. Let's talk movies we've all gotten a chance to see. And now I would like to point out one in light of moment here of this current world crisis. There are some things that have been released that, yes, we can't go to the theaters right now because of our current world situation, but there's been a lot of digital releases, a lot of early digital releases and online streaming access that has happened due to the situation at hand. So I would like to point out, we've gotten early access to some really good things because of it. And I'm not batting an eyelash at any of it. I'm just taking it for what it is. So, guys, I don't know what you want to talk about first, but I think all of us have seen this first title. I want to do something a little lighthearted, a little family-friendly here. Something I know Lynn dug into early because his kids wanted that shit. And then me and Nick were like, we'll dip back and wait. It's coming to Disney Plus.
For free.
Well, subscription based for free. Yep. I know.
Well,
if I'm already bought it,
I'm sorry that I paid to have fun.
That way, hey.
Screw you guys.
Lynn, there's another film we'll talk about shortly that I did pay into that was not free at the time. Okay, mark my words. I'm willing to pay for good things when I need to. But that being said, I was willing to wait a little bit for this one. It might just be me and Lynn. I didn't cross-reference you, Nick. Did you get a chance to check it out yet? The new the Pixar film on Disney Plus, Onward. Did you get a chance?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's talk about Pixar's new flick, Onward. Recently released at the beginning of April on Disney Plus. And sadly, I only say sadly for Pixar and Disney. And I mean, Disney's doing fine money-wise, but I still feel bad for certain, studios that can't release in theaters right now because that's why a lot of movies are delayed. They're missing out on box office money, but that is why some companies are also releasing, on-demand options. And in the case of Disney, because they can sit tight for a minute, they put it on their streaming service shortly after briefly offering a direct purchase option. So, real quick, let's jump into this. I'm going to read the synopsis for Onward, and then we'll dig into our thoughts. So, Onward, set in a suburban fantasy world, two teenage elf brothers, Ian and Barley Lightfoot, go on a journey to discover if there is still a little magic left out there in order to spend one last day with their father, who died when they were too young to remember him. I think that's a pretty simple, not too spoilery description of the overall concept. Nicholas. Actually, real quick, let me just list off briefly the voice actors involved, because there's a few huge hitters here, and then I want some general thoughts. Why are you shaking your head, Lynn? Why you do that? Like, no, come on, skip these. Skip the details. What the f***? Oh, there's
let's go.
Second bleep of the night.
And there's our second one of the night.
All right, guys. Voice actors involved. We have the infamous Spider-Man, Tom Holland, playing Ian Lightfoot. We have the Chris Pratt playing his brother Barley Lightfoot. We have Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing Laurel Lightfoot. Fans of Seinfeld will remember her fondly. Oh, and what was that one HBO flick? I am taking too long to find this. Anyway, you all know who she is. We got Octavia Spencer, Mel Rodriguez, and a hand. Oh, Ali
She
Wong
was the Veep.
Mm-hmm, yep. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, she was the Manticore from Veep. Oh, sorry, you're talking about Dreyfus.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, she was on Veep. Couple others. We got Ali Wong. Freaking love her. Love her Netflix stand-up comedies. You got to check out Ali Wong. Quick little shout out there for her. And a handful of other slightly lesser known actors. But this film was directed by Dan Scanlon. Written and directed. And this is a Pixar flick. He also worked on Monsters University, Tracy, yada yada. So guys, we're gonna do a 1 to 10 scale. 10 being a masterpiece, 5 being, it's worth it, check it out, and then you guys decide in between how strongly you feel. Let me throw it to Nick real quick. Nick, go for it. Give us your thoughts on the overall film and your rating.
It was surprising. It was very heartfelt. The way they decided to go with it, with him wanting to experience all these things with his father and his realization, was not what I was expecting.
Let's, not trying to cut you off, but let's temporarily keep it spoiler free during this.
That's why I stopped there.
All
and
right,
didn't go in
right.
depth
Okay.
on that.
Fair enough.
The aspects of the typical like D&D style quest was really kind of cool. And it was a different take on another reality where everything's inhabited by fairy tale creatures. It almost made me think, like, is this a animated version of that Netflix movie Bright?
True. Good reference, yeah.
But no, it was good. I liked the way they executed it. Chris Pratt and
Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah, had some good chemistry together on screen. I liked the way they went with it, and no, it was fantastic.
Want to give us a rating on this one, sir?
Out of
10. 1 to 10.
9.
Got a solid 9 from Nicholas.
Yep, I'll give it a 9.
Lynn, let me toss it over to you, sir. What were your thoughts?
Oh, man. I have to say, first off, the battle of Tom Holland versus Chris Pratt was fantastic. I do have to say, I sided with Chris Pratt's character way more than I sided with Tom Holland's. Sheer because Tom Holland's was the idiot savant of the group, and it was just like, you got this natural talent, rock on, guy. And Chris Pratt, he's been studying it since like early middle school to, late high school, like hardcore. He's got it down to like how far you can cast spells and everything. That I gotta side with his character way more. But all in all, the combination of the aesthetic of the D&D and the general magic meets urban or nowadays society was kind of nice. There were certain aspects that didn't necessarily need to be there, but it's cool that they were, and I have no problem with them being there. And the ultimate understanding at the end of ignorance is bliss was very nice, and I like how it was all tied up. So I would have to agree with Nick. I will say a solid, firm, statuesque 9 out of 10.
Nice. Beautifully stated, sir. I like it. All right, guys. My thoughts on this film. We had a movie night with the kids, and so this is one where, like, we didn't pre-screen it. I sat there, we watched it from beginning to end, and
let the dice roll where they may.
right. Well, and I highly recommend not watching the side note. Movie not to let the dice roll on is Good Dinosaur. Maybe don't watch that without pre-screening it, especially if you have sensitive children. Just a side note, a little piece of personal advice, personal experience.
You roll a 5?
I could not pick up the tears off the floor fast enough from my oldest, and couldn't explain why things happened the way they did in that film. I'll explain later. If you guys are curious, leave a comment down below, and I'll direct message you about that experience, or I'll share it at a later time. But this is about Onward, and so without further ado, guys, the thing I loved most about this was, the whole, while Lynn recovers from that, the whole, the fantasy meets reality. There's a comic book series I like to give a shout out to that. Honestly, there's a lot of this whole, the world used to have fantasy and magic, and then they turned to technology. There's a lot of different stories that go with that angle.
The Wolf Among Us,
among others, and I'd like to call back Soulfire. I don't know if you're familiar with the Fathom series. Or guys, can you help me out for half a second? Michael Turner.
Nick said, The Bright.
Yeah, Netflix is Bright with Will Smith. That was definitely a more recent one in the last couple years. But Soulfire did the same thing to make a direct comic book reference. It's super in the future. There was a lot of fantasy in its history. And Michael Turner, rest in peace, sir, died way too young. I'm the biggest fan of that guy's storytelling and art. We'll have to talk about that at a later time. But Onward tells a really familiar tale of a world steeped in technology, society turning away from their old ways, and the world being filled with magic. But as far as like the brother relationship that happens in this movie, Ian and Barley, Ian's the nerdy kid that never got to meet his dad. Barley was really young, only a few years old, and his dad. So it's like his perspective is, my dad died when I was a young kid. And Ian's perspective is, I never got to meet Dad. And there's pictures throughout the house. He's got this built-up idea of who his dad is. And I don't want to spoil the emotional plot twist, but just to convey the rest of my feeling on the movie, this is a classic, wonderful journey. I loved the D&D marriage of this narrative. I think it spoke a little bit to definitely parents in their 30s and 40s. that may have grown up around D&D or who currently participate in D&D among some of us here. But that being said, I loved, like Lynn said, how Nick and Lynn pointed out that Barley was just steeped in this whole, no, it's not just a game, it's actual history. And Ian has, aside from not knowing his father, it's also contrasted with the parallel idea that he has no idea with what his dad was ever into, which also relates to him not understanding this whole fantasy thing, the whole magic thing. He's like, I don't get it. I loved the back and forth banter between Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. I think that's beautiful chemistry. We've seen them in the Marvel movies as Spider-Man and Star-Lord, and they've never had this kind of direct connection in a film. I mean, they've been in the Avengers flicks together, but they've never had this much back and forth together, and I thought it was cool that they were playing siblings. This was really cool to see. And I also want to point out Tom Holland. I'm not typecasting him yet. He's still young. He's only 21, 22 right now. And British, which I love anyone British, but a lot of characters he's played is that awkward, bumbling, I'm just trying to get through life type character, and he totally plays the Peter Parker from the Marvel movies that we know, but just in a completely different setting. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
But he does right.
That's not a criticism.
No, but he does it right.
Right. Well, no,
if we're being honest, he fits the part of. Oh, I'm just trying to live life. Let's go. I'm learning as I go.
Yeah, exactly. That was my only point. I just wanted to point out that, like, he kind of plays this kind of character. Recently, we've seen this a little bit in his portrayal of Peter Parker, but again, it was perfect for this film. And I will say that the last 30 minutes of this hour and 40-minute flick, my wife got distracted with her 2-year-old who was just yelling. She can watch half a movie and then she just starts babbling and running around the room. So the wife got distracted, and I'm sitting there during a pivotal, I want to say kind of like the middle of the third act, and it's starting to get emotional for me. And I'm not joking. I have no shame in admitting this. My eyes start watering, because I'm feeling what the characters are feeling in this moment. And Amy, my wife, looks over at me and she's like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Yes, honey. You're missing a really big part right now. Watch the movie." And so because of that, Pixar is usually good at making you laugh, carrying you through a fun adventure of escapism, and almost always there's a part in any Pixar film where they have this ability to draw out an emotion strong enough to maybe make a man shed a tear. And in my opinion, I don't care. I'm not ashamed to say that. I wasn't dripping tears, but my eyes watered 2 different times in the last 30 minutes. I will say I've seen a lot of Pixar films. The rating for this is kind of hard to make, but I can't disagree. I can't. It's the kid in me says it's a masterpiece, but it's really hard to give things a 10 unless it floors me to the ground, rips my soul apart, and says I have to watch this 1,000 times over. Don't get me wrong. This movie is completely rewatchable. Our kids willing, we will be stuck watching this 1,000 times over. But from a personal adult level and as a father, I give this a solid 9 like the rest of you guys. So, across the board, Onward gets a Nerdentials rating of 9. We don't want to this isn't a deep dive on any of these movies we're going to talk about. It's just a feelings and a rating review type episode. I know we could totally talk more about the interlockings of this movie. There was a lot of good stuff in it. But this is why I want to encourage anyone that has Disney Plus, guys, if you're a family that already pays for Disney Plus, it's on there. Go watch it, click play, pick a night where you and your kids can all chill out, get some popcorn, and watch it. The kids will love it, and you'll shed a tear or two, and enjoy it at the same time.
I mean, all I gotta say is the van. I shed a tear at the loss of the van. My man,
Gwendolyn, and
No.
don't say anything.
No,
Don't say anything.
Guinevere. It was Guinevere.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
Guinevere.
Guinevere.
Because the second van was spoilers.
No, don't say anymore. Stop it. Stop right there. Stop right there. No, just stop right there. It's a sweet moment at the end. Stop
In
it.
the fourth van, in the 12th.
Yeah, there we go. The 12th van.
All right, moving on. Thank you, Nick. Moving on. All right, we talked Onward. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk something a little more on the adult side. What I know, Nick watched a couple that I haven't seen. What do you want to speak on first, Nick? I want to throw it over to you real quick. What would you like to share that we haven't seen?
Yeah, let's hit one of yours.
Well,
I'll look up some deets for you if you need them.
maybe as the resident comic book person, we should bring up Bloodshot.
Give us the
Ooh,
background
there we go.
on what it comes from.
Bloodshot is a Valiant comic book series. Well, no, it's actually not. It's based off of the Valiant comic book universe. There was it? I'm trying to remember. There was a web series on for a long time, actually. That was Ninjak versus the Valiant universe.
Nicholas, I can give you a quick synopsis, and we can cut my synopsis out if it gives away too much.
Okay.
You want me to read
Go
the
ahead.
synopsis for it?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a couple here, but the one that kind of details a little bit of its history connection here. Bloodshot, based on the Valiant Comics character of the same name, Bloodshot stars Vin Diesel as Marine Ray Garrison. When he and his wife are murdered, Ray is resurrected by a secret team of scientists. Enhanced with nanotechnology, he becomes a superhuman biotech killing machine. As Ray first trains with fellow super soldiers, he cannot recall anything from his former life. But when his memories flood back and he remembers the man that killed both him and his wife, he breaks out of the facility hell-bent on revenge, only to discover that there's more to the conspiracy than he originally thought. Now tell me, is that spoiler-free enough? Does that give away too much?
Well, if you watch the preview, you get exactly that.
Yeah,
so that's perfectly fine.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. We can mention that it stars Vin Diesel as our lead character, Elise Gonzalez as KT. We got Sam Heughan, who, by the way, me and my wife Amy are a huge fan of. He plays the character Jimmy Dalton, but he also stars in the Starz original series Outlander as a heavy Scottish. You know what, Lynn? I don't know if that was. I don't know if that was like spite or you just making fun of me. But it's a good series. I've reviewed the series on our show.
Robin watches it. I'm not being sarcastic. It's fair.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not upset. So those are our leads on here that might be a well-known or of any repute. There are secondary actors on here. Real quick, it's directed by Dave Wilson, who is, according to IMDb, not known for a whole lot. He's only directed a couple things. He did an episode of Love, Death, and Robots. Guys, we love that anthology series on Netflix.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, so I mean, he's
Give it a watch.
He's kind of a fresh director. And those are your deets. Now I'm gonna toss it back to Nick.
If we're all being fair, it also has Lamar Morris from New Girl.
Oh yeah. I don't know if
now.
Wilfred Wiggins is a huge character at all, but yeah, no, he's in there. I don't know all the characters in Bloodshot as far as who are huge characters. This is why I didn't list all the actors.
guy's he's fantastic.
God, there's our third bleep right there.
Fantastic.
Whoa, we're only like 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the episode, dude. Come on.
My bad.
Wait till the end.
Let's see.
Then unleash.
How many more bleeps can Lynn get in before the episode is over?
Stay tuned and find out.
What?
Nicholas. Hold on. Hey, come on. Let me toss this over to Nick.
Three.
I gave the premise. I gave
Go.
the actors. How was the movie? What's your rating? Let's go into that.
Well, for people that don't understand who Bloodshot is, if you ever seen movies like Universal Soldier or even Spawn, kind of plays off that whole thing. Fallen soldier brought back for a purpose.
Right.
In this, from the comic books, they stayed true to his powers and everything. So I'll give you a rundown on what Bloodshot is and can do.
Okay.
Bloodshot is a highly trained soldier. So weapons training, combat training, all that good stuff. And he, upon coming back, has gained some new gifts. His blood is pretty much replaced with nanites.
Ooh.
Which are small robots.
Yeah, the trailer was pretty sweet.
The Destiny kind of nanites?
Kinda.
Like they repair and destroy?
Yeah.
Or Star Trek fans, the Borg nanites.
But they not only repair any damage that's done to him, as the process of repairing, it also exponentially makes him stronger, quicker, everything.
Does his strength increase every time he repairs? Is that what we're saying, or
no?
His
strength is directly proportionate with his repairing, though.
Right.
Well, think about it. The only thing that stops us from unleashing our raw power is the pain we feel.
Right. I get you.
Our body's limitations. It starts to break down when we push ourselves too far. He's constantly in repair, so he doesn't have that limit. Does that make sense?
He has constant adrenaline, 24/7, 365.
But I was actually a big fan of the web series Ninjak vs. the Valiant Universe. And I've seen Jason David Frank's
I love him.
version of Bloodshot.
Shout out to all you Power Ranger fans.
Yeah. They did them totally different. But in their own respect and rights, they were both very good.
I actually saw that. It might have been because you sent me the link, Nick. I think I might have asked you for it. Yeah.
Well, me and you set up one night and kind of watched them across the thing and back and forth.
Yes. Well, for all you Power Ranger fans, Green Ranger, White Ranger fans of the 90s, we'll send you guys a link in the description below.
God.
He does.
And speaking of it, now that the movie has aired and everything, they were able to finish the series legally. They were actually on a hiatus because the movie that was coming out took copyrights and stopped production of this web series.
Oh, that is
so they were
sad.
actually finally able to go in and finish it. So now it's finished.
Hey, Nick,
and they released it.
Nick, send me that link and I'll post it in this video.
Will do.
Okay, go on.
But no, it wasn't what I expected, but I was completely happy with the way they pulled it off. Now I'm hoping, because of the way they set it up, that I hope they're going to continue like a Valiant Universe movie series. I hope they do not stop with Bloodshot. They've brought forth this whole universe of characters, and they have so much that they could go with it.
That would be cool.
Bloodshot alone faces so many different enhanced individuals. They can tap into so many different things. But no, this would probably be a great franchise for
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel that's not Fast and the Furious.
Or Triple X.
Or you mean, or his
Chronicles of
best
Riddick.
role, Iron
Chronicles
Giant.
was freaking fantastic.
I loved him in Iron Giant. Come on.
Yeah, he had so many lines.
Well, same with his role as Groot. Come on.
I think that's why I got it. He was so
loved him.
good at those one-liners. They just like, there's no one else that could do this. I don't think anyone has the acting chops.
Are you even mad at him? That was fantastic.
I know.
Or third or fourth? Third for the night?
No, Bloodshot. Guys, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's fantastic. Anybody that has Vudu or Xbox, they have it as like an early theater release. They released it for all those platforms so people can watch them earlier because of all this Corona stuff. They're actually doing that with a lot of movies. Yeah, I would say this is one that you guys should watch if you want to get a unique action experience. This one was definitely fits that bill.
Before you give us the number on your personal experience, I've heard as much from a couple other podcasters out there that have stated that it was a real fun ride. They enjoyed it, regardless of the critical reception, which unfortunately is low. Unfortunately, a lot of Vin Diesel's films are. But also, unfortunately, it only truly it bombed in the box office, plain and simple, but it bombed more than it might have turned out because, and it says here, in the film's second weekend, due to mass theater closures, because this literally came out right as the pandemic came in full swing across the nation, that it closed at 79 different locations.
I don't think it bombed. I think it got hit with the Corona.
But aside from
I feel like with this and the Sega Dreamcast, under different circumstances, it would have done better. Just saying.
I agree.
Just saying.
Nick, what's your personal rating on it? 1 to 10.
Because it's hard to beat the original stuff that I was used to. But I loved it so much, and it was such a great ride. I'm gonna have to give it a 9. It doesn't get the full 10 because there was the conflicting nature in the back of my head, just saying it's not Jason David Franks.
Oh man, you're stacking this up against the web series. Lynn, you got to check out the web series.
On, sometimes you gotta throw other things aside.
Well, like I said, that's why he gets a 9, though. He did a very good job.
Come on, cleanse your palate.
Okay, but
and then go back into it and go, ooh, I like this fresh taste.
Yes, but to still give him a 9, even though I have.
Okay, but Lynn, to be fair though, this is a film that
it's high praise.
This is a film that critically didn't do well. It's gonna. I do believe it's gonna be turn into. Hold on.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Hear me out for 1 second.
Okay.
And then I'll shut up. I truly do think that, having not seen it, but based on Nick's experience, I do feel like this is one of the many films that gets thrown under the bus due to circumstances and due to critical lack, that I think this will turn into a cult classic.
Okay.
I do think it'll be a cult classic over time.
I concur with your affirmative statements.
That's all.
My thing is, there are other things that the general public would say is awesome.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
This would far supersede those under different circumstances.
Did you watch it?
You know what I mean? I haven't touched it, but looking through the plot and the script
and what Nick has said, about it.
Yeah, and going through the cast, it's hard to condemn a film based on certain circumstances that it's going through right now.
Oh, and that's absolutely not what I'm trying to do as far as like the pandemic's concerned.
I know, but
yeah, right. That's all I'm saying. Like
you okay. You can't say you don't like it until you try it.
And that's always been your go-to, and I always trust that. I believe in that statement too. You can't hate something until you try it.
Yeah, you got to give it a chance before you condemn it. And that fits under a lot of circumstances.
That being said, Nick gives it a solid 9 for having a pure, joyful escapism experience in my mind. And I will watch it with those eyes wide open and those indifferences set aside. So, let's see, guys. A couple of us watched a good chunk of The Invisible Man. Sorry, I'm not throwing you. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, Lynn. I want to talk about how you felt about what you did get to see, and I'd like to lay out my thoughts on the film as a whole. Okay.
Okay. Let's hit it.
Let me pull this up real quick because due to the corona, I did not write notes this week. That's not
the corona.
That's gonna. Hashtag sorry to the beer company. I am so sorry. I'm tarnishing your name with every statement I make. The stocks don't lie. Everyone feels the same way. Sorry.
Let's just call it bullshit from bullshit to go to bullshit.
Hey, I'm not bleeping those out, but can you say fucking mint?
Mint.
Now, before we cut to the review, what did you just send, Nick? What was that?
You asked me to send the link. That is the complete web series of it. They put it into a condensed one video that's 113
movie
1 hour
length.
13 minutes.
Can you, for the sake of ease, can you post that in our founders chat? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Do they have abridged? Do they have a bridge series?
An abridged.
I would love that. I would love that.
How about you watch the first single episode, which is only like 15, 20 minutes, and then decide to watch the rest?
I watched one episode when they've condensed it all into one like feature-length movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
I mean, Goku dropped the F-bomb like 3 or 4 times in the first 30 minutes. That's bad.
I'm turning left.
Yep.
Okay.
Boom shakalaka.
Thank you, Nick. I see it. It's all there for us to see.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, guys. Let's get into The Invisible Man 2020.
Oh gosh.
Now, this is based off... Now, I got confused upon watching it, and I initially
Which one did you think it was?
Oh, hold on. I was thinking Kevin Bacon for half a second, and then realized even though the concept's the same, they're two completely very different films.
It's
Kevin
like
Bacon is the Hollow Man, and not have anything to do with this. The Invisible Man's based on a 1930s film original concept, like a 1930 something, and they did a remake in the They did a remake in the 60s.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I love you. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're not interrupting. Guys, give me the reference to what's deeper about it, real quick. Just before I read the synopsis for the 2020 film, what's the deeper aspect here that I'm missing?
It's based off the H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
Yes, but wasn't it written around the time that the original 1930s film was made? When did H.G. Wells write this? You want to look that up for me real quick?
The original book by H.G. Wells
Here we go.
is one that was written as a horror classic.
Mm-hmm.
It was written in 1878. I mean, 1897.
1897. Okay. Nice.
Dude. And we had to read that in high school for what was it, creative writing.
Yeah.
That and what is it? The military classic, I can't remember.
1917?
I think so. It's the one where the media is constantly watching you, and
Oh, you're talking H.G. Wells, 1987.
yeah, there you go. And then there's two different endings. There is the American ending, which is everything's f***ed up, and then there is the British ending where she figured out a way to circumvent the government and save her and her significant other. I've done a little bit of research.
So,
Whoa, spent too much time in school.
So, having said that, guys, here is the premise for the film. We'll give you our thoughts and feelings on it, and I think this might be a good wrap-up spot. We're close to the hour mark here, so, and we've got to play. Side note, we got to play through after this, so we'll jump into that after this. Exactly. All right, The Invisible Man 2020. When Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by someone nobody can see. Now, that is, I could have read a longer one, but I kind of wanted to let our dialogue expound upon our feelings about what has happened for the first half of this film at least, and then leave our general thoughts on it. This stars Elizabeth Moss as Cecilia Cass. You guys will be most familiar with her from such series on Hulu. Well, her biggest role right now on Hulu is The Handmaid's Tale. She is in 3, 4 something plus seasons of that. She was in a recent film by Jordan Peele where she played a neighbor character in the movie Us, which we reviewed several episodes back. And what was the reference you made, Lynn?
I think it was The Village, but I might be wrong.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. As far as that far back, I don't know. Because The Handmaid's Tale feels very Village-like. I'm not sure about that one. But The Village for TV series and Us for film. She is starred next to Oliver Jackson Cohen, who plays the ex Adrian, or aka the Invisible Man. Got Harriet Dreyer. We got Aldous Hodge, who plays like the best friend cop that kind of takes her in. And his daughter, Storm Reed, who plays as Sydney Lanier. And a couple others throughout here, but those are kind of the big players for this film. So it's directed by Leigh Whannell. If you're not familiar with Leigh Whannell as a director, something that he was involved with more recently, only barely 2 years ago, there's this sci-fi thriller called Upgrade, which I've heard a crap load of good reviews about that one. So just a little shout out to that production. You guys definitely should check Upgrade out. He's also involved in a bunch of the Insidious films, and other things of that nature. So kind of well at home with kind of a psycho thriller known as The Invisible Man. Overall thoughts and feelings, I will say this film changed up some things from like the original concept. It kind of modernized what, and I'm not going to spoil the deets about what makes the Invisible Man invisible, but they definitely modernized how he became invisible. It's definitely set in modern day times overall. But the one thing I will give this film from beginning to end is that there is a consistent unease and level of suspense that they do really well, not through dialogue, but one of the biggest props I want to give this entire film production is the it's in the name film. The camera work. The camera work for this film is what leads a lot of unease and suspense within this drama, as well as our lead actress, Moss. She, no slight against her. I don't think she's typecast yet, but she does play a victimized woman very well. And if you guys have seen The Handmaid's Tale, you will be like, wow, she's basically playing the lead character from The Handmaid's Tale. But here's the thing: is like she has been noticed by media and critics across the industry that she does that role really well. Be interested to see what she does after this project, but she plays a victimized, abused woman insanely well, to the point where you almost as an audience, you know what's going on from her perspective, and you're constantly like upset with everyone that doesn't believe her throughout the movie. She comes off like when she starts explaining things of like what's happening, you see the other people's perspective, and you're like, oh, come on, girl, you're sounding insane right now. Like, I don't know how else you can convey what you're dealing with, but like, everyone thinks you're nuts. But we know she's not nuts because we see what she's dealing with. Not spoiling anything here, but like a couple scenes involving camera work. I'll point one scene out and then I'll pass it to you, Lynn. There's one scene where she's in the room with the cop friend's daughter. They're sleeping together for comfort. The camera pans over. She like sits up in bed because she thinks she hears something, and she like looks a couple different times. But it's not just in her performance in that moment, but it's the camera panning over to different spots in the room, making you think you're going to see something move, and then it stays there for seconds at a time, and you're just holding your breath. And then nothing happens, and you're like, "Oh, this is starting to make me nuts." And then there's a brief moment where she stands up. The sheet from the bed fell on the floor, and she pulls the sheet up, and she's holding it. And where the sheet lays on the ground, she sees a footprint imprinted into the sheet, and that's like the first sign to the audience. We're like, okay, no, this is like, there is something here, but everyone else thinks she's nuts. And we're like, oh, come on, please believe her. There's someone there. And they beautifully pace this film out to just, it never feels like it drags. It's always moving, and it's always like, oh, when are people going to start believing her? So do you want me to give my rating, or do you want me to toss it over to you, Lynn?
No. Give you your rating. I'm going to toss it over to me.
Okay. Okay. I think I have a really... Guys, I haven't seen the original, so I'm comparing this to nothing. It's literally an original creation for me. And I've never read H.G. Wells' original story, so I'm not even comparing it to the book. But as a standalone film based on the performance, the camera work, the direction, even after seeing the ending, I personally want to give The Invisible Man a 10. I don't give those. I try not to give those lightly, but for suspense thriller, I have to personally give it a 10. And you are welcome to change anything about that. Go ahead, Lynn. Your thoughts. Go for it.
No. Okay, I'm going to take it over. I have to say, within the first 25 minutes of the movie, I will give it a 10.
Ooh.
Not even giving you context. Just a 10. Because your general layout in your general synopsis, I will say, within the first 10 minutes of the movie, of her trying to do her best, or you don't even understand at this moment what she's trying to do, but she is escaping from a circumstance which she doesn't like, and she stops to save the pupper, and then she stops to hop into her friend's car, which takes forever to get there.
It's actually her sister, to be specific, yeah.
Okay. I was trying to be spoiler free.
Well, it's in the first 10 minutes. Yeah, it's not a huge spoiler.
Okay, but
yeah, she's relying on someone who should love her unconditionally. She's her sister.
Yeah,
and she's coming here to her. Yeah,
and she calls her by name, but when you're like the dog bowl at the beginning, you're like, holy shit. She kicks it, and you're like, that's end game right there. Movie's over.
Oh, when you're talking about trying to escape from an abusive ex type scenario.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of suspense.
At this moment, you don't completely understand what's going on, but there's that moment at the beginning where it's high suspense, and just I feel like throughout the movie that higher suspense is right there, adrenaline going. You're like, what's going to come next? What's going to come next? What do I need to avoid? What do I need to watch out for? Oh, and now things have changed. What do I need to adapt for? You're just kind of like, wow, okay. I don't want to give a solid 10. I'll give it a 9.55. How's that?
That's perfectly agreeable.
I can't give it a 10 because there's certain tropes that are slightly predictable, but other things are kind of like, whoa, where did those come from? Or, oh, that was kind of a mind trip right there. There's certain things that are kind of like, I got you. It's not 100% original, but if you're going along the lines of what's already been written to add on to the original, I will say there are certain things that add on to the original that are kind of like, I wouldn't, like at the beginning when she disables all the cameras, or she plans for certain things, or you're like kind of like, I wouldn't have thought of that, or those are certain things that I wouldn't have thought of, or like the car when it goes off at the beginning, spoilers, you're kind of like, oh shit, Oh shit! Spoilers.
Hey,
It's hard because the movies. All I'm saying is I will give it a 9.5. They're
that's good.
compared to certain films in the horror genre that I have. It's hard to give this one a 10, but
Okay.
compared to its original, I will give it a 9.5. Solid, firm, not changing.
Fair enough. 9.5, Lynn. That, you know what? Fair enough. That is a solid rating. It's a 10 for me in 2020. There's other films that we hopefully will see before 2021. Jokes aside. But guys, that for now is going to wrap up our catch-up episode, I guess. This is going to be a Movie Matters episode. Guys, this is podcast number 84. We are going to get back to the weekly schedule as best we can. I'm making the big move here in a week or two. But we're going to try to get back to our weekly upload, okay? In the meantime, continue going to Nerdentials YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Nerdentials, and check out a lot of other content, other gaming videos, other podcast episodes, review episodes and shows. We got a lot of stuff on there, guys. Go check out our YouTube channel. You guys can also subscribe to our podcast, audio-only version of this, anywhere you get podcasts. Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, wherever you find it. Google. You guys will find it. If you listen to a podcast feed, you can look up Nerdentials and you'll find it. But I would like to take this moment and thank all our viewers and listeners for sticking it out. Hopefully you've got some extra free time that you could go check out some of our hijinks at YouTube, especially with the quarantine and all. #truth. But guys, for now, for me, Nick, and Lynn, this has been your Nerdy Essentials. And as always, nerds, we'll see you on the other side. There was a triple delay there, but it kind of happened in unison, so it was a jumbling of words. Thank you, gentlemen.
For shizzle.
Man, guys, it feels so good to be back.
Fabulous.